We are back discussing the Nairobi Securities Exchange third quarter performance. We'll also be touching on the Central Bank of Kenya, which had a press conference earlier in the day with regards to its success on the demonetization process. Mr. Martin Kirimi is a senior equity analyst at Standard Investment Bank. He has joined us to give us an overview of his report on the NSC third quarter performance, as well as his expectations on the fourth quarter of this year. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Thanks for having me.
All right, before we go into your report, what are your initial thoughts on the press conference that the CBK held earlier with regards to its demonetization?
On my end, you talked about success rate of 97%. I think that's quite a good success rate, and I love the fact that the CBK was able to stretch out the demonetization, not the way India did. They actually said they learned quite a lot from the India process.
Okay.
So with the time given 4 months and the 97% success rate, I think it's a very good, commendable.
It's a commendable.
Very commendable exercise. Yes.
All right. Do you see any risk factors going forward, or are you happy with the process?
From my end, I am happy with the process.
You're happy with the process. Okay.
Yeah, of course, like you talked about, there's a liquidity crunch, but also from the point CBK has been actively mopping up liquidity from the market.
Yes, it has.
Last month, even actually last month and yesterday,
yes.
So they are mopping up 60 billion. Just last month, I haven't done the analysis. I have the detail. I haven't done the analysis.
Okay, so
yet.
they've actually been coming to the market and pulling out all the money in the market.
A lot. And I think that has to do with the fact that they were afraid, in my view, as the deadline loomed, they will have a weakening of the cash probably.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Maybe that would explain the interbank, because on the 30th we did see it spike to 7.9, but yesterday that corrected to about 7.4.
Precisely.
Okay.
But still 7 is still high.
It's pretty high.
Yeah, because remember where we were in July. July we were talking about 2%, 1 point something percent.
So this is almost 4 times higher than it was. Okay, so that's very high.
Yes.
Okay, so it looks like the liquidity crunch is not only at the bottom of the pyramid, even at the corporate level and in the banking system, there's a bit of a liquidity crunch.
Yes, I don't want even to imagine how your tier 3 lenders are currently faring.
Yes.
Because, they don't have that much access to liquidity as your tier 1 lenders.
That's very true.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that insightful oversight.
Yeah.
Now let's look at your report. You've done a very good report looking at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the performance for the third quarter. We'll put up the first graph, which just gives an overview of the key indices, the turnover and the average daily volumes that were traded. I think our graphics team has put that up. So give us an overview. What are your thoughts on the NSC with regards to the third quarter?
The market is down 2.8%. Ideally, mostly driven by the downward momentum, and Safaricom is 50% of the market.
Okay, so when anything happens there,
anything happens to Safaricom, that will definitely have an impact. And ideally, the reason why Safaricom was slightly down 2.1% is, remember, this is the quarter that the ex-div, ex-dividend.
So the special and the ordinary dividend were paid.
Precisely. What book closure happened on 2nd of September.
Okay.
2nd of September. So right now, that had quite an impact, and the locals as well. Locals have been selling. They've been pretty bearish of the market.
Mm-hmm.
We did a roadshow in the third quarter, that is July and August, and a lot of the sentiments from local is very bearish. They're just turning towards your FI now.
So really fixed income is probably, you'd rather preserve your capital and not deal with the drama of the volatility
with the
in the market.
Yes.
Wow.
So the locals are very averse at the moment. Mm-hmm. Yes. But it's all not doom and gloom, especially the NSE 25. Okay, if you are NSE 25 being a market-weighted index, is the only index that we can trade in derivatives.
Okay.
So for the investors who short the NSE 25.
So that would be the index that you're derivatives. Maybe you can give us an overview later on.
No
in the
problem,
show.
no problem,
okay.
no problem.
Interesting.
Yes.
Though I did notice the trend with regards to turnover. I know it's in dollar terms, and you have it coming down to about $295 million traded in the third quarter.
Yeah.
That's from a high of 449 in the first quarter and $321 million in the second quarter. What's your sense with regards to turnover? And is there any correlation between the bearish stance from the local investors and the trading volumes?
Absolutely. Ideally, our market is foreign foreign-driven market, because you're talking about average turnovers of 65, 60%. But in as much as the turnover, it's that the foreigners are driving it, our locals are shying away from the market. They're really shying away. So you saw a lot of activity in Q1, especially because of people targeting now bank stocks. That's your Q1 and Q2. Q3 right now it's been pretty slow, and I think that slowish momentum is going to spill over to fourth quarter. That's the sad part. Yeah,
as does that make you sad? Okay, if I was a broker, on October, because it means that there's nothing much happening.
Yes, as an intermediary, I have to say that intermediaries that are thinking outside the box, SIB being one of them, are the ones that are probably going to weather the storm.
Okay, so interesting. Even as you're looking also at the foreign flows and comparing now the Nairobi Stock Exchange, Securities Exchange with the Nigerian Securities Exchange, it seems from your report that the sentiment that we are seeing in Nairobi is similar to what we are seeing in Nigeria. Is that the case?
I think it is, because the frontier markets, they basically lump up most of the frontier markets in one bracket.
Okay, and by frontier you would mean?
Us and Nigeria.
Okay, Nigeria and Nairobi, and Kenya would
and
be.
Kenya.
All right.
Exactly. But at least us, we have an edge in that when you look at Nigeria, they are commodity driven, pretty much. They really have a lot of the economy is really weighed by the commodity prices, being the oil being the
price.
Oil price.
Okay.
So if the softening of the demand side of the oil on the oil business now is having a downward pressure towards the benchmark, the Brent and the WTI indices.
So then you begin to see outflows as well.
Precisely,
so interesting. So what you say, overall the sentiment is bearish on the NSE, and this would explain the lower volumes, and we don't expect the volumes to be much higher in the final quarter.
Yes, especially now that I can't see there's no excitement.
There's no excitement.
Unless, however, and we want to do a report on this. I could probably now release intel.
All right.
But if you're a dividend yield driven investor, you're looking for that dividend yield right now.
So there's some very good.
There's some very good dividend returns.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I'll give you an example. I checked NMG at
Nation
Media Group at the price point of 38, 39, 40. If they maintain the same dividend payout as they did last year, which,
and what was that?
Can't remember the
number.
Or
what's the dividend yield today?
Right now, when I did the analysis, around 18%.
18%?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Like that's such a sweet spot.
It's a very sweet spot. So no. Here's the thing. They can't, because when you look at it from the point of the revenue, the revenue is having a downward pressure because of digitization. So
then how will they sustain the dividend payout?
Look at it this way.
Okay.
Look at the half-year results. There was a downward movement, but it was single digit. How long will they sustain? I think, let me give you, Wilfred Kiboro, the chairman, said they will go ahead and do a corporate action towards the full year. They're thinking of how to go about it, either issue a bonus or a special div. If they issue a special div, which I think probably they'll issue a special div.
Okay, so there's an opportunity there.
There is an opportunity.
Wow.
There's some hidden gems, I think, if somebody was to just weather the storm.
So just wait it out. But 18% is such a sweet spot.
It's a very sweet spot.
Okay.
And simply because of the downer, it has taken a beating. I think it's because the 18% is purely because I want to see
Would it be in your... Okay,
yeah, it is
one of the worst performers.
Yes, it is one of the worst performers.
Okay. Actually, as we're looking at performers, maybe we can start off with the top gainers as at per your report. This is graph number 2 for our data team. And we have housing finance. That's an interesting one. Maybe you can take us through what's happening there with regards to price.
Housing finance, what happened right now, just September alone, it's up almost 78%.
Yes.
I think it's more, the lockholds have taken a bullish stance
on housing
finance, purely on two reasons, in my view. Number one is the change in strategy. right now they're no longer now going to be focused way towards the mortgage financing bit,
Wow.
where basically there are.
Oh, and this explains because there was the circulation, I mean, the publication that went around and they were selling a lot of houses.
That's the other front now. They're selling a lot of houses is because of the NPLs. The NPLs were 28%.
So this is non-performing loans.
Exactly,
okay.
as of June, okay?
Okay.
The ratio is 28%. Industry, 12%. So 12.7. So you see, when there's, with all this auctioning,
then you can actually expect a recovery.
Precisely.
Okay, so then it's actually at 7 shillings, meaning that in the third quarter it was up 75% alone.
Actually, yeah, and September alone 78%. Year to date right now is the best performing bank counter.
Wow.
Just like that.
But let me ask you, how do you get visibility of such opportunities? I did meet one person, a very close friend of mine yesterday, and he said that he made a lot of money on housing finance.
He did.
He put it at 4 shillings. And exited at 7. And I know we are looking at it and they always say hindsight. It's
2020.
It's 2020.
Yeah.
But how would you have actually seen this and gotten into this boat as an investor and speaking to you as a professional?
Do you know, I see it, I see my boss.
Yes.
My boss has actually told me, I remember sometime in second half, Martin will tell you about HF.
Yes.
I'm like, I just see them as a lazy lender. I'm like, no, can you just go ahead, just sit down, just
look
at the numbers and everything. I actually just didn't. Right now I'm thinking, oh my God,
You
I
really
wish
should have.
I should have.
Because that's 75%. Like if you had
Precisely.
$1 million, that's 750,000
Yes.
that you made in 3 months.
Precisely. And it was really trading at such a big discount.
Wow.
To book value.
Wow.
And the change in tact, because now they're really focused now on retail. They want to go retail. They actually they hired an executive from Tala to come and run the
business.
Yeah, the digital front.
So do you think we can do another 75%? Should I buy it at 7 shillings?
Wow.
Or it's a bit too hard to...
It's a bit too hard to tell because now
okay.
I'm looking at it from the point of there will be... the profit takers will be just lagging around the corner.
So they're just waiting to exit.
Just waiting to exit.
We need to pay more attention
exactly,
on a daily
yeah,
basis.
we
Daily price gainers and price losers.
We should.
Okay.
Especially when on the volumes front.
On the volumes, because there was also certainly an upsurge of volume.
Exactly.
And also events, because I think for the housing finance, maybe something we should have paid attention to was the moment they started saying, okay, we are releasing assets, which meant that now they were actually beginning to generate cash flow.
I think actually, now we'll go further back.
Yes.
I'll say the moment we shall paid attention was when Frankie Reri was replaced by Robert Kibara.
Okay.
That was the moment.
That was the moment. That was the defining moment.
That was the defining moment.
Okay, we didn't have a show then, so
yeah, because ideally, look at it this way. I was actually looking at it back. I'm like, look at it this way. That time, when he was in NIC Bank. He was the head of retail banking. So why would the board go ahead and get head of retail banking come to
That's
retail?
a good question.
Exactly. So as an analyst, I'm actually looking back. I'm like, oh my God.
That should have been your trigger point.
That should have been the trigger
okay,
point.
wow, 75% return.
Yes.
Then there's Kakuzi there, 35.5% return year to date. It did make 23% return in the third quarter. What was happening there?
Now, this one I'm caught between a rock and a hard place.
Okay.
Rock and a hard place because number one, Kakuzi is driven by thin volumes.
All right.
Okay. The other part is because the majority, there was news about the majority shareholder acquiring more
shares in the name.
Yeah, but now I can't talk.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Yeah. Then I think as we go through the list there, there's East Africa Cables, looks like it's thin volumes, Eagers and East Africa Portland, also thin volumes. I think the other notable names that I did notice in your list, we've put up the top 5, but then in your top 10, there was Scan Group, which was up 11.8%. We did see a huge trade, about 1 million shares go through the market yesterday. Is there anything happening in this stock?
No, I haven't had no news yet.
Okay.
I just know after the special dividend that they did in May, it really took quite a tanking. It's been taking quite a beating.
Okay.
Aside from that, we haven't had any news, and also the news on there's that they disposed an asset a while back, one of the subsidiaries. I think that's one of the things I need to look into because
and to see first.
Yeah, exactly, because it's going to boil down to how the full year numbers are going to look like.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
How the full year numbers are going to look rosier because now they'll have even extra cash there's another interim, a special div.
Maybe
probably.
another special dividend that could come. Okay.
Hidden gems that.
Hidden gems. So we are seeing, all right,
Yeah.
interesting. They're out of the traditional names.
Yeah.
Then I think the other interesting one that I saw from your list of top gainers, there was Barclays Bank.
Yes.
It's actually been, I think, one of the top performers in the last 1 week. It's at 11 shillings. As at the third quarter, it was up 5.3%. Is there anything exciting happening at Barclays that we need to pay attention to?
Not yet, because aside from the changing the brand to ABSA, and of course they usually give the dividend yield is among the highest
It
in
is.
tier one in the listed lenders, 9%. So aside from that, and their numbers are really good actually.
Half-year numbers.
Half-year numbers
Wow.
are really good.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really, really good. On normalized times, they're really good. They really delivered some really good returns. And the strategy, the new strategy of, I like how they call it, how it is all about. It's the one bank, I'm pretty sure you wake me up or
Yes.
ask me what their strategy is, like growth, transformation, and returns.
Easy. And with brighter colors. At
With
least I like
brighter
the
colour.
brighter colors.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think let's switch it and look at the top decliners. That is, we have our third graph there. Our data team can put it up. Uchumi supermarkets down 45% in the third quarter. Is there any more value left at 28 cents? Or is there any value uplift? I mean, could it be another housing finance in our hairstyle?
Unless all of a sudden we see the stores going filled up. When is this? I passed through Ngong Road. I checked
The Hyper, okay.
The Hyper. It was closed. Okay, the last time I checked, it was closed. I'd like to see the financials for the other retailers, your Naivas and Tusky.
And just compare, because
Just
I don't think
compare.
there's no... because, I mean, for Uchumi, I think the thing that I keep wondering is what lease terms they have for these assets. For Hyper and some of... I mean, they have... Previously, they did have notable locations.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious to see what lease agreements they have in these particular areas. But I fail to see what the upside is. But there could be an upside there. But at 28 cents...
I don't know. I find, okay, for not sounding too being the prophet of doom here, I wouldn't be surprised one day we wake up and then you're like, oh yeah, in the course of the day you're like, oh, Uchumi has been put on a receivership. As Mumias.
As Mumias. Actually, Mumias is here. In fact, Mumias, it didn't even do as worse as Mumias. Mumias was down 19.6%.
Precisely.
So we're just waiting.
We're just waiting.
Okay.
And you remember they wanted to dispose that land in Kasarani.
Yes,
and
they
then
did.
All of a sudden, KDF came about. It's
Then
our
that,
land.
okay.
Now you don't know what's up.
Okay, then we have, all right, we have a couple more, but we'll take a short break. The NSC has closed. Look out for the closing bell.